Real quick, before we start, bend over and make a fart for me.
Real quick, before we start, you're gonna have a number of questions
Yes, I did steal it from him.
while watching this video, and 9 times out of 10, real quick, before we start, you're gonna have a number of questions while watching this video, and 9 times out of 10, the answer to that question is either going to be technically or money. So I'm just gonna reuse this clip every time that comes up. So let's get into it. But again, remember, it's always technically or money. Hello. I'm wearing a lab coat that I stole from my sister, who's a nurse, which explains why it's one size too
Everything
small.
in America is money.
Qualified is because a few weeks ago,
And if it's technically, and it's technically because you love money.
But the more reports I read,
Let's keep
videos
it a
I
bean.
watched, and read yarn I purchased, the more I realized this is a deeply complicated issue. But surely the title is clickbait. I mean, recycling obviously exists, right? Technically. But the reason it's such a mess is due to the very material that popularized recycling in the first place.
Money?
Plastic. Plastic is so interesting for all the wrong reasons. I'm sure I don't need to tell you that plastic waste is a problem, but the way we got here, and the reason you view it the way you do, is the direct result of decades of misleading claims, unrealistic promises, and propaganda from big plastic. That's a real thing. I'm telling you right now, this one's gonna be a bummer.
The bummer of plastic. Twerk for me, ladies.
Can't see, and because I have the reasoning ability of a 12-year-old boy, if I can't see a thing, I tend to believe it's not real. We all know that plastic is made from oil, yet none of us know how. Prior to writing,
It is?
even imagine how that works. As far as I can understand, when you extract oil from the ground and you refine it, the product that you're looking for is called methane. It's the primary gas that your stoves use. We burn it for like energy and stuff. It's really valuable. But one thing you get when trying to get methane is its less popular brother, ethane. And this is a byproduct.
Like a pedophile.
Ethane is going to be there whether you like it or not. And for a while, that's just the way that ethane was seen. It's just one of the things that you get when you're digging up oil. But in the late 1800s, it was discovered that you could use it to make this weird substance. It was this white, waxy material discovered by German chemist Hans von Heckmann. His colleagues named it polyethylene.
Oh, he be
also
pegging
known
your
as
mom.
polyethylene, also known as plastic. Now, this discovery was an accident, and at the time, there wasn't really much you could do with it commercially. But in 1933, British company Imperial Chemical Industries, great name, accidentally discovered a way to synthesize this industrially. And the result was a material unlike the world had ever seen. Polyethylene was everything you wanted it to be. It was strong, it was lightweight, it was flexible, it was heat resistant, and most importantly,
I'm not smart for shit like this.
but at the time, plastic was viewed
This
like the
Edward is
material of the
losing
gods.
me.
It could be clear
He's
like glass,
losing
but it
me,
didn't break when you dropped it.
catching me,
Lighter than metal,
and losing me
flexible
again.
wood, sturdier than paper. You could color it, make it look like any material you wanted. It was easier to clean, it was easier to transport. It was cheap, it was durable, and thanks to injection molding, it was easy to mass produce on a large scale. This material could be used for everything. And due to metal shortage in World War II, the manufacturing of plastic became really big in the 40s. And since it was already in high production, when the war ended, there was an explosion of new plastic products to choose from.
Plastics take their rightful place in a world of peace. The future will bring plastic fabrics, wondrously fine, yet resistant to wear, wrinkles, and stains.
Saran wrap, squeeze bottles, Tupperware, shoes, dolls, garbage bag, plates, bras. People loved plastic, but manufacturers loved it.
Bras are made out of plastic?
Why? Money. Remember, plastic comes from ethane.
Y'all ladies gotta
Ethane
come prove it
is
to me.
really cheap. In fact, there's too much of it. Because if you're a fossil fuel company, you want methane. But if you're getting methane, you're also getting ethane. But it's not just that you don't want ethane. Nowadays, you
And
really
the
have to find a way to
peatier
get
brother,
rid of it. You can't really mix it
Pethane.
with the methane. You can't just release it out into the atmosphere. There's only so much of it you can legally burn. And if you don't find a way to get rid of this stuff, it becomes a big problem for production.
A lot of governments, including the US government, control how much you can flare. So it might be that you are producing so much ethane that you cannot flare it and you cannot send it down the pipeline. And if you can't sell it, you have to shut down the well. They hate shutting down the well. If there's still methane down there, if there's still oil down there,
'Cause they
that's
hate
money in the
losing
ground.
money.
It doesn't matter if you're making money on the ethane. You just need someone to take it away from you.
And plastic just makes sense. So from the 50s onwards, pretty much anything you could dream of was being made of the wonder material. The possibilities were endless, and the best part is that it would last forever, because plastic basically lasts forever. That will come up again later. I'm not here to say that all plastic is bad at all times. I'm coming to appreciate that plastic does have a place in society. For example, before the invention of single-use plastic-filled diapers, children used to wear cloth diapers that were meant to be washed and reused. That's okay.
Oh, hell no.
That one. The problem is how much plastic is made. So what we're gonna
Some
do about
niggas
the
probably
trash?
do.
I would love to answer that question, but I do have to do a commercial for a brand real quick. Why would he just interrupt the video like that? Money. Wow, look at this totally normal meal for a college student. I can't wait to eat this and then go about my day. Oh my gosh, I'm an idiot. I should have done this months ago, and I was thinking, like, I really thought I was dying. Also, I thought signing up for the doctors was just burned.
Want to strengthen your math?
Yay, an ad!
It's an effective and fun way to learn. Built
Guys,
for the way
don't we
your
just
mind
love
actually
ads?
works.
It
Every lesson
makes
is
us
visual
feel
and interactive,
better.
so
afterwards, which also contributes to greenhouse gas emissions, and probably plastic to the greenhouse environment. Take better care of our health. Thanks so
Is
much
that
to
him?
ZocDoc for sponsoring this video. It's bad for the environment at almost every stage of its lifetime. From the fossil fuel extraction needed to make the plastic, to the greenhouse gas emissions that come from when you actually produce the plastic, to the disposal of plastic, a decent portion of which is just burned afterwards, which also contributes to greenhouse gas emissions. And probably the most annoying part of plastics, especially in the 60s and 70s, is that people would just throw them anywhere. It was in parks, roads, farmlands, lakes, rivers. Plastic also ends up in our oceans, which is
You
bad.
said in the
because
60s.
we all know
Man,
fish are
go
dumb.
outside and
Small
look at your
pieces of
floor.
plastic floating around as prey, and then they'll eat it. And then we'll eat it when we eat the fish. Did you know that the average American eats about a credit card's worth of plastic every year? That's why I don't order seafood. It eats through my wallet. I'm doing
Corny
But the
ass.
planet is a big place. I
He said, "I'm
don't get why we can't just find
crazy."
somewhere to put it.
We have this
Remind me of my
one-
brother.
we only have
Not the
so
one that's
many
snoring right
places
now.
That we could put
One
our
that got his own
waste.
house.
3 different places we can put our trash right now.
You can't put it in the ocean. Look what happened.
Sure, obviously.
You can't put it on top of a mountain.
You can't.
They've even tried to put it in.
You can't.
I didn't think of that. We can't.
Why not?
We have to come up with a better plan.
So we have way too much plastic trash. What could we do to fix the problem? Well, we could have cut down on plastic production, which would have solved the problem at the source. No, we're never gonna do that. How about we come up with a slogan instead? If you grew up in America after the 80s, you probably grew up learning about the 3 R's. Especially in the 90s and the 2000s, messaging about the benefits of reducing, reusing, and recycling was everywhere.
It's worth it.
It is worth it.
It was on posters, commercials, children's television. They made jingles about it. They talked about it in science class. Did you know that Schoolhouse Rock forced Mitchell Musso to make a De La Soul parody song about it? Obviously, I can't play the whole thing here because Disney will have my head on a pike, but I will play a snippet shortly. However, before I do, I would like to read the lyrics
Alright,
to the
watch
first
that.
verse because it's written like a conspiracy theorist that's trying to make a connection that simply isn't there. 3. It's a magic number. Yes, it is. It's the magic number. Because 2 times 3 is 6, and 3 times 6 is 18. And the 18th letter in the alphabet is R. We got 3 R's we're gonna talk about today. Go listen to this song immediately after this video. I assure you, it sounds worse when you sing it.
Yeah, I did this. No, I did not listen to this.
Recycling ads made it seem like you were
I was talking
fighting
about
for
with the
world peace
circle
every time you
Earth.
threw a bottle away. I'm being responsible. I'm basically a hero. We treat recycling as if everyone who does it is single-handedly preventing a plastic straw from ending up in a sea turtle's nose. You did it, man! We won! But that slogan is written the way it is for a reason. It's written in order of importance. If you want to help the environment, by far the single best thing you can do is reduce the amount of trash you make. If you don't want the planet to be filled with waste, don't make the waste in the first place. Beyond that, the next best thing you can do is to reuse the waste that you create. And I'm not talking about that 5-minute crash reuse. I turn these bottle caps into jewelry. I'm not doing that. I'm a grown man. I don't just own
Are
a
you?
glue gun. It's kind of crazy how underrated reusing things is. We'll talk about this more later, but Americans have been taught to believe that reusing things is for poor people. Historically, though, every culture and every people have always reused everything they can.
So, in thinking about ancient Greek sculptors, their favorite material to use was bronze. And the reason that we only have a few of these left, they got melted down to make implements of war. Egyptian kings would wait for previous monuments to maybe fall into a little bit of disrepair, and they would knock them down, and they would use those pieces to build their own monuments. Sometimes the Romans would take their sculptures, and they would recarve them into the sculptures of later emperors.
If you grew up in a melanated household, then you know that just because a container that used to hold food is now empty, it does not mean its life is over. I'll be the first to admit this. I used to be embarrassed when we'd have people over and I'd have to explain to them that we used the empty Greek yogurt containers from Costco as cups. Well, I wasn't embarrassed at first. It wasn't until somebody who wasn't in
I
my
used
family
that
came to my
motherfucker
home,
as a
saw
cup.
what was happening, explained to me that their family doesn't
And a
do this,
bowl.
and it immediately clicked, yeah, of course nobody else does this. This looks weird. But looking back, objectively, it shouldn't be viewed as weird because we used that container 50 times longer than it was intended to be used. We saved them from going into a landfill prematurely. That is, of course, until I put it in the microwave and it became immediately unusable because, of course, it was. It was a Greek yogurt plastic container. It can't handle that heat. But sometimes, despite your best efforts, you end up with plastic that you just don't know what else to do with. Then, and only then, is when the last R comes in. recycling. The idea that some company or organization could take your trash and turn it into anything your heart desires. It's the most magical of the 3 R's. Magical in the sense that it's not real. That isn't to say recycling doesn't work for anything. There are actually a number of materials that recycle rather well. Aluminum, for example, is considered infinitely recyclable, meaning you can recycle it over and over and over again and it won't break down in quality. In fact, of all aluminum that has ever been produced, 75% of it is still in circulation today. Now, you compare that to plastic that actually breaks down every time you recycle it. And of all the plastic that's ever been produced, 70% of it has been discarded. In fact, generous estimates say that only 10
Sadly, I'm calling it. I'm not finding any enjoyment out of this video. And it's not because I'm learning. Like, I'll probably watch this, John, when I'm playing the game. Like, it's like, background education, but it's like a video. Sure, yeah, nah. Yeah, nah, yeah, nah, yeah, nah, yeah, yeah, nah, yeah, nah, yeah, 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 nah, yeah, yeah, nah, yeah, nah, yeah, 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 nah, yeah, nah.